yung session ninyo ngayon, nag-request sila Congressman Roman Romulo of Pasig and Danny Domingo of Bulacan na mag-executive session ostensibly dahil daw to protect their reputations from being maligned. Ngayon nag-aalala mga tao, baka that's setting a precedent for all politicians to invoke the same reasons para mag-executive session. Para pa daw yung live streaming kung gano'n ang mangyayari.
Alam mo, gaya nga lang sinabi namin, I explained to the public or even to the media before, ang default ng ICI is live streaming. We want it live stream. Kung pwede nga 100% live stream yan. That's our, in fact, we read section 1 of our guideline. Ang default really, the general rule is that we go live streaming. However, we also recognize, number one, the laws, the Constitution. At the same time, yung mga rulings ng Korte Suprema, ng judiciary, wherein even in their guidelines on access to information, there are exceptions. Hindi absolute yung access ng publiko sa information. So we base it there. And nakalagay naman doon, if there's any threat to the safety or person of any individual, national security, it's all included there. Nakalagay lahat din doon sa guidelines. And it's not the guidelines invented by the ICI. We based it on law. We based it in the decision of the Supreme Court. Now, if our resource persons would cite that or cite that as reason, ang isa pang rason dyan, if it will affect the investigation, ongoing investigation by the Commission, then it can be a reason or a justification for executive session. Now, kung yan ang magiging basihan ng aming resource persons, that will be considered by the Commission. Kaya nasa guidelines namin yan because we want the public to know na ang gusto ng ICI is really live streaming. Sabi ko nga. However, we do accept exceptions as provided for by law and even pronouncement by the court.
Pero yung mga nasa executive session ba, will the public find out kung ano nangyari, kung sakasakali? Kasi nga yun ang inaalala ng mga tao ngayon, dahil naumpisahan na yan, lahat ng politicians sasabihin nila, ganun din Of course, it's their reputation at stake. They're being accused of high crimes Paano kung lahat sila, yan ang sabihin?
Well, yan ang sasabihin na if that's still based on law, then the ICI, the commission, the commissioners will be forced to follow the law. No one's above the law. Ay, hindi naman namin pwedeng ibaliwala kung ano nasa batas, anong sinasabi ng ating korte. We're just following rules here. We're following the rule of law. We're following our laws. We're following the pronouncement of the Supreme Court and our court. So, hindi namin pwedeng ibaliwala yun. We have to also recognize and respect the rights of the individuals, our resource persons included.
Sir, Congressman Romulo requested the executive session saying that his testimony could put his life at risk if it is made public, and that was granted by the ICI. I presume, and I suppose the public would like to presume then that when the commission heard his testimony, it would have been able to decide or determine right then and there if his life is really at risk, or if he just doesn't want to, just doesn't want to have it made public. I suppose, sir, naman, the commission can decide at that very moment na hindi ka dapat nag-executive session.
Well, I think there was I think it was very clear that there was a request for live streaming by Congressman Romulo, and at the same time he justified the request based on the guidelines and rules of the ICI. It was granted. So it remains as that. It remains as an executive session.
But the point, I guess, is that not every request will be granted. Not every request for executive session will be granted. Is that correct?
Well, yes, of course. It is not based on our rules. It's not based on the guidelines that are provided. Then the request for executive session can be denied.
Because so far, I think everyone that's asked for an executive session have been accommodated, right?
Yes.